Hey guys, I'm the Flow and welcome to this first real episode of Let's Play Middle Age Agartha, the depths of Lebap. Lebap. So, the game starts and we get some messages about the current state of the world. What do we have to know? There was one being of great power and enlightenment who rose above his immortal peers and cast them out of the heavens into oblivion. From chaos came order, and with order came peace, and the creatures of the world flourished. The age of chaos has ended. So, this is the time the Pantocrator ruled over the world and everything was in order. But then, now the wheel has turned once again. The supreme god has suddenly disappeared. Prayers are left unanswered and smoke offerings rise in vain of the heavens. No one knows why he disappeared, but it is certain that the people of the worlds are once again left without direction, without guiding principle, without order. Now is the time for the beings of great power and ambition to try their strength. The throne of the heavens stands empty, and only the strongest can rise to supremacy over all. Only the most powerful can ascend to take the place of he who came before. This is a time of great strife and suffering. This is a time of unequaled magic. This is the Ascension Wars. Cue epic music. Okay, so that's the state of the world. And this is the wonderful map. Let's take a moment to appreciate it. This map is called Bidin. It's made by Pimus or Pimus. I don't really know how to pronounce his name. It has beautiful art. It's a wraparound, so we're here and we're also here. And look at this. We're also right here. This is Agartha, our home cave system, the place where the seals were broken, and the place where everything bad basically happened. We're surrounded by some mountains over here, a river on the west side, swamps, some plains, and a nice village. You see these blue lines here. This means this river is impassable by units unless it gets really cold. So only in winter, and maybe even then we can't pass it because we have a heat dominion. So this is going to be a nice natural border. If we look on this side, we see the mountain range, and these passes, they can also only be crossed when it is warm. So we have the heat dominion, so basically I think at least in the summer we'll be able to get over these provinces, and maybe in the winter as well, if our belief grows strong enough. So, first things first, this is Albrecht, but we're gonna rename him. So let's right click him, R to rename, and we'll rename him Hawk, who is one of my watchers, my only watcher from the Clockwork Hounds community right now. And this guy we're gonna profit. That means he's gonna be able to bless our troops. And let's actually inspect our troops. Let's first go to the roster of troops that we have. So if you press R or you click here, you can recruit units. These are all the commanders we can recruit. These are all the units. So we have a basic scout, a cave captain, a troglodyte trainer. That seems cool. Let's see what he can do. Troglodyte trainers are in charge of the troglodyte slaves. They capture, train and lead the troglodytes in work and warfare. The trainers wield whips and swords to coerce the troglodytes. Their skills are useful when leading other beasts and slaves as well. The trainers are not very good leaders. Okay, so they basically whip their troglodytes to do the work, but they have a negative squad morale bonus, which means they're not very good at it, or maybe the troglodytes are just very wild. And here we see the actual troglodyte slaves. We're gonna be building these. Why? Well, because they have trample. Trample is a skill that means they can basically step on units that are smaller than them and kill them that way. They don't have to fight, they don't have to hit, they just step on things. Yeah, let's read this as well. When the humans arrived in the deeper caverns, they found huge, stupid beings of great strength. Insensitive to the alliance with the Pale Ones, the troglodytes were captured, domesticated, and used as beasts of burden. Their temperament made them difficult to control, but it soon became evident that they were useful in warfare. Now troglodyte slaves can be found in mines, as well as in the armies of Agartha. Okay, so these troglodyte slaves, we use them in our caves to, I guess, repair the damage that was done by the cataclysm. And we're going to use them to expand as well. That trample, as I said, is very useful. Apart from that, they're quite cheap. They're only half the cost of elephants, war elephants, that some other nations can build. They don't have that good protection, so they're vulnerable to arrow fire, and they can move quite far, 16 spaces. Normal human beings can move around 10 to 11 spaces, so these guys, they run like mad and step on things. Okay, so we had the troglodyte trainers, the commanders. We have a Pale One captain. The Pale Ones, these are also Pale Ones. Ooh, but these are ancient ones. The Pale Ones are basically the ancient race that lived in the caverns before the humans came. Then we have an attendant of the oracles. This guy. Deep underneath the cave city lies the hall of the oracles. Here a few surviving oracles live in opulent splendor. They are at times served by the attendants of the oracles. Lowly human priests, so that are these guys, who scurry hither and yon to answer every whim of the ancient ones. Attendants are able to lead the animated statues guarding the kingdom. Animated statues. We'll be talking about them as well. But these guys, they seem like they're human, but they actually serve the big guys, and they can bless our troops. We've got Earth Readers. We're going to be building a lot of these guys. The Earth Readers, they are Agarthan priests and diviners of the will of the Earth. Once the Earth Readers were Pale Ones, but with the slow demise of the race, humans have replaced them. Earth Readers are always consulted when new caverns or mines are opened. They also predict earth tremors and cave-ins by interpreting the ancient patterns of engravings found throughout Agartha. So, these guys, the Earth Readers, they basically are oracles, or fortune tellers. They make sure the excavation of the caverns goes well, and when our pretender finally arrives, when we open the healing caverns, yeah, they can help us out with that. Then we have some ancient lords, especially the Oracle of the Ancients. This is an ancient guy who has lived ages. Let's see, I think if you click here you can see his age. No, fatigue. Age 440 years old. So these guys have been around, man. These guys have seen things. Deep down underneath the cave city lie the halls of the oracles. Here a few surviving ancients and their oracles live in opulent halls adorned with statues and riches from the earth. Awaiting the eventual demise of their proud race, the oracles try to keep the old traditions and memories alive. By reanimating statues of their ancestors, the oracles cling to memories of a glorious past when humans were not present in the halls of the earth, and the seal was unbroken. Some oracles have even gone so far as to reanimate their dead brethren. So we see these guys have Earth Magic 3, they have Death Magic, and they have Random Magic. They can get 4 different kind of paths. These will basically be our heavy lifting guys. They can side search for Earth, which will be nice. They can cast some big spells, forge some things. I don't know, we won't be using a lot of these, but when shit goes down, they'll be there to help out. For our normal troops, we see that we have some types of Agarthan infantry, human infantry. They're generally quite heavy on the resources, but they have decent defensive skills, decent protection. The more expensive guys have even better protection. The thing with these two guys in comparison to this guy is that this guy has map move 2. That means he can move 2 spaces on the world map. While these two guys, they have better protection, heavy armor, but they can only move one space, and this means it's a lot harder to get them in the right place at the right time. So I guess we will be getting some of these. We might be getting these situationally, but not immediately. Then we have the pill ones, basically without armor, with some armor and a spear, and with a shield and a sword. These guys, if we look at their stats, we see that they have terrible attack values and terrible defense values. Attack, normal values for normally trained troops are around 10. The same for defense. And basically, highly elite troops can get up to 16, maybe even 19 defense or attack skill. But yeah, these things are below even average human soldiers. So these guys, I don't know if we'll be getting them. They are amphibious. Yes, they are amphibious, so we could conquer the seas with them. Maybe we'll use them. Then we have the troglodyte slaves that we'll be using to expand a lot, and 2 ancient ones. These are the ancient one commanders, and these are the ancient one soldiers. Yeah, they are both sacred. Sacred troops can be blessed, and the blesses we got are based on our pretender, so that's an Earth 9 bless and a Nature 9 bless, which will give all our sacred troops, in addition to the shard guard, plus 5 protection and regeneration, and they regenerate 10 hit points per turn. All my blessed troops when they're blessed. So these guys, they're standard bearers, but I just want to talk about this guy because we'll also be starting with him. These maybe situationally. Okay, the shard guard. Agarthan legends tell of a time when the earth made flesh begot offspring with the greatest of Olms. It is true that the great Olms aided the Pale Ones in a distant past, but with the war of the Kinbreaker, the Olms vanished into deeper earth, never to be seen again. The Kinbreaker. This might be a hint towards the Pale One that broke the seals, but I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll find out. However, their legacy remains. Before the Kinbreaker War, an oracle of subterraneous waters gave birth to a swarm of strange larvae with the upper bodies of a Pale One and the lower parts of a great Olm. A few of her offspring survived the breaking of the seal, and begot offspring of their own. The Olm spawns have received a status similar to the ancient ones, and many of them are trained as sacred guardians of the deeper halls. Since the breaking of the seal, broken shards of ancient obsidian glaives are found in the caverns near the cursed chamber. These cursed obsidian shards are used to craft weapons for the shard guards, who have shown a remarkable resistance to the dark influence of the shards. Alright, so these shard guards, they're offspring of both ancient ones and Olms. We haven't seen Olms yet. I have a little bit of an idea what they are, but we'll find out about them later. And they are actually resistant to the dark influence of the shards, the dark influence of the cataclysm that we unleashed upon the worlds. That's cool because we're gonna be recruiting these guys. Why? They do a lot of damage, 24, with their shard glaives, and their shard glaive curses people. That means even if we're fighting against really strong troops that will survive, the curse will basically haunt them forever. I don't exactly know what a curse does, but it doesn't sound good to be cursed. Apart from that, what I mostly like them for is their hit points. Their Nature 9 Bless gives them plus 8 hit points, I guess. It brings them up to 36. With the 10% regeneration, that brings them up to 4 health regeneration per turn, and that this can keep our guys alive. So we've gone over our assortment of troops, the basic thing. We have Hawk right here. There's one more thing we're gonna look at before we start moving around, and that's our research. Okay, research. So in addition to all the different paths, water, fire, air, etc., etc., you have the different schools of research, and basically the different schools represent different ways in which the magical energies can be manipulated. What we'll be going for first is alteration. Why will we be going alteration? If I press E, we can see all the earth spells, and we have earth mages. At level 1 we see Earth Grip, which is a spell which orders the earth to swallow a single target, which makes them defenseless and easier to be killed by our troops. And Earth Might, which gives our troops increased strength, and this strength can help out in battle, of course. Then when we get to level 2, which we will go for, we get Earth Melt, which is basically an area of effect version of Earth Grip, which will be very, very nice in battle. Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna be talking about for now. So let's recruit some troops. We've got 400. I want some troglodyte slaves up, and maybe some shard guards. Right now, if we press army setup, we can see what we have right now. We have 15 Agarthan light infantry units, which have quite nice defense, and we have some heavy infantry, I guess. Yes, heavy infantry with even better protection and equivalent defense. So we've got this bless going, so I want to create some of the Olms, and I also really like the troglodytes for expanding. So let's see what a good combination is. Can we get 3 Olms out? No, we can't. Yes, and now we've got 60 gold left, and Earth Reader is 80. And we want to get Earth Readers out basically every turn. So let's do it like this. So yeah, before we end the turn, we still want to move our scout around, so our scout is gonna move over there. Next turn we're gonna expand with Hawk, and with the troops we get, we can expand one of these 3 provinces. And let's turn on some map filters. I like to have the income box on. Let's turn the names on as well. The names, I don't really like the contrast right here, so let's turn off the names for now. Yes, we've set up our research, we've set up our recruitment, we've set up our scout. I'm gonna profit, so let's end our turn.